Hello YouTube. It's 2:30 in the morning on the 24th of December. So naturally, as most people can do, the night before Christmas Eve, when they can't sleep, I was watching an extremely disturbing horror movie. It's not a horror movie. It's fucking porn. Shit porn. Okay, first of all, I want to thank the Cinema Snob on thatguywiththeglasses.com for introducing me to this wonderful treat of a film, as I had never heard of it until his top 10 worst films of 2010, in which he mentioned this film as his number one, and he basically said that it was so shit that anyone who even dares to try and back it in any way, or act as an apologist for it, is sick and twisted. And you know what? He's right. This film, I feel bad calling it a film. This collection of disjointed shit is there for no purpose other than to make the people watching it go, "Oh God, that was disturbing." And you know what? I'm not going to give them the satisfaction. It wasn't disturbing. It was perplexing. It was really kind of pathetic. Now, to put it into perspective here, in this film, right, I'm going to list a couple of things that happen, and they sound very, very disturbing. In this film, it's about a porn star who is retiring and decides he's going to do one last job, but the director doesn't want to tell him what the porn film is. He wants a shock reaction. Now, if you've seen any films at all, you know that this is a bad idea. If you're going to do something that is likely to be not very tasteful, and you're already a porn star, so much so that they think that it would be good if you give a shock reaction, so they don't want to give you the script. Yeah, you don't do it. It's gonna be fucking disturbing. It's like he said, what am I gonna have to suck a donkey's dick or something? It could very well have been that. It wasn't, but it could have been. The first disturbing scene is where the man is taken into a room. And I say disturbing scene, these are the ones that people say are disturbing, in which he's taken into a room and given a blowjob in front of a young girl who looks maybe 13? Don't know. About 13. I'll point out, by the way, this is Russia, where the legal age is 14 anyway, so... But yeah, that's not the point. Well, Serbia, same fucking thing. Right. So yeah, he's given a blowjob in front of a young girl wearing an Alice in Wonderland costume, which is, I've seen worse. Not real worse, but I mean in films I've seen worse. It wasn't overly disturbing. I mean, I know how the modern society tends to look at child porn and paedophilia as being this incredibly awful thing, and a child seeing sex is going to scar them for life, but you know what? I don't think it would. She'd look 13, 14, she's probably watched porn before. It's not going to do any fucking harm to her. Didn't bother me in the slightest. In fact, the incredibly fake penis was more of a disturbing thing. The thing was like a foot long. I mean, you only saw it from a distance, but the way that they've characterised the main character is he has some kind of ability to stay hard regardless of what happens. But really, I think this is just an excuse so they don't ever have to detach the fake dick, because he is permanently a foot long and floppy enough that he can get it in his pants and things like that, but I mean permanently ridiculously fucking long and hard. And the idea is it doesn't matter what you show him or what you do, he'll stay hard, so you don't need fluffers, and he can fuck really ugly people and shit like that, or you could have a disturbing fetish and he'd still stay hard, that kind of thing. Now, the thing is, this would work fine if they just had a porn star doing it, or they actually just used his real penis, or even a fucking dildo. But this thing was like about that thick. I mean, it really was about that thick, yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys, yeah, but let's be honest here, yeah. Whose penis is that thick, really? I mean, mine's what? At most. If it was that thick, really, it wouldn't fit in anyone. I mean, seriously. But yeah. And it was at least a foot. It was fucking. He was holding up here at one point in the seat. My dick would never reach. If it could reach that far, I could give myself a fucking blowjob. And I'm a fat guy. But yeah. And the really fake dick. It's a recurring thing in this. So yeah, that scene didn't bother me in the slightest. The next apparently disturbing scene is when he decides he doesn't like the idea of, recording a porn with children watching in the middle of an orphanage, which, to be honest, I could understand. He tries to quit, and the director shows him a film of a previous porn, which actually I laughed at. It's a woman giving birth, and then the guy, I'll point out that this is definitely not a hospital. It looks like she's giving birth in a fucking abandoned building or something. Right? Now the birth looks, I would imagine, fairly realistic. I've never seen someone giving birth. If that's what it really looks like, I never want to. I certainly will not be present when my partner has kids, because I would never have sex with them again. But, yeah. She gives birth. Then he has sex with the newborn baby. I actually laughed. I don't care how disturbing that was supposed to be. It looked to me like a grown, bald man having sex with a doll, with a pregnant woman smiling at him. It was a fucking comedy clip. Now, I don't care how many people are going, it was raping a newborn baby. No, he wasn't. Do people not realise that that doesn't physically fit? Right, based on the size of the other guy's penis, yeah, his penis is bigger than the baby. There is no way he could be having sex with a newborn baby. It doesn't work. It is impossible. And I don't care how much suspension of disbelief you're supposed to have for this scenario. In order for something to be disturbing, it has to be vaguely realistic. You can't fuck a newborn. It's like trying to stick your dick in a Cheerio. It won't fit. Ever. You would tear the baby in two. It looked stupid. You don't see anything anyway. All you see is it shot from behind with the baby's head there, and he's kind of moving it. Right. So, I mean, to me, not only did it look fake, extremely fake, but it also kind of looked more like someone was faking it in order to make the video look realistic, to creep someone out. It looked more like someone was just waving a newborn baby in front of their crotch. But even still, I mean, the concept is disturbing, but the clip wasn't. It was just stupid. Really stupid. The only part that was the only parts that were actually disturbing were coming up, yeah. And the next part, I'm glossing over all the bits in the intro. The next apparently disturbing part is where he's drugged and sort of he's coaxed into having sex with a woman, and the way they've done it is they've drugged him with psychotropic drugs that mean he's very suggestive and very angry, and they basically throw him into a room, right, take his pants off and throw him at a woman and tell him that this woman deserves punishment, she deserves being beaten and all of this shit because she's evil for various reasons, because her husband's a war hero and she's a whore and all this bollocks, which means he's having sex with her. Why? But yeah, so he starts having sex with her doggy style, and he's beating the shit out of her, and there's bruises everywhere, and then someone kind of walks on stage side and hands him a machete, and he chops her head off. That's pretty much the most gore in the film. For a horror film, and by today's standards, that was fucking tame. It was a severed head. Not over the top, really. I've seen worse in horror films, gore-wise. He is having sex with her as she's dying. It's clearly a rape scene, because she clearly doesn't want it, especially she's clearly in pain. It's quite a graphic scene, but nothing more so than in some of the modern horror films. I mean, rape is nasty, but I mean, we've seen torture and things like Saw. It wasn't over the top. I mean, it wasn't exceptional torture. It was still nasty. It was still gory, and that was one of the few scenes which was actually quite disturbing. Whereas the others just come across as comical. But again, they ruin it because he then is pulled back, and he looks fucking fake because he's got this massive, huge fake dick. When they pull him back to pull her off the dead body, and that just makes the entire scene seem fake. Next, they have a scene where he's put in, with the girl who was dressed up as Alice earlier, where he's told that he has the honour of taking her virginity. And this isn't supposed to be all that disturbing, but it's fucking hilarious. It really is. He decides to threaten them by threatening to cut off his own penis. Because apparently he runs over to a counter, picks up a knife, and because obviously they wanted to make this disturbing fetish porn movie, he decides to threaten them. The best threat would be to threaten to cut off his own penis. So he is in fact standing there at one point, holding his penis like that, with a knife there at the base of the penis, and the thing is so big it practically reaches his nipples. It's so wide, his hand will not go all the way around it. And the knife is so small, that he would have to cut at it for about 3 minutes to cut the fucking thing off. He's basically got a small fish fillet knife. It's the kind of thing you'd expect on a comedy sketch show. Now, granted, they do. The film does get more horrific as it goes further and further on. There's at one point further on in the film, he is in fact coaxed into having sex with someone with a sheet over them, while a masked person is having sex with someone else with a sheet over them. The masked person, when he takes the mask off, is his brother, and he is raping his wife. When he then takes a sheet off the person he's having sex with, he is in fact raping his own son, who looks about 8 years old. Which, again, this comes across to me as completely fucking stupid. Because, again, I don't care what anyone says, having sex with a woman and having sex with a man is very different. They have different body shapes. You can tell the fucking pelvis feels different for a start. Second point, the kid looks about 8 years old. He's barely 4 foot tall. I don't care how many sheets you've got over him, you'd tell that that's a child. You would know. You could feel the difference. His arse couldn't be that fucking big. And considering this guy's a foot-long dick, where the fuck's it going? Gay men have a specific issue when it comes to sex, yeah? I mean, a guy with a big penis has a problem when it comes to gay, because the large intestine isn't designed for that purpose, so it twists around, and obviously there isn't that much room to fit another organ inside it. I mean, the vagina's designed for that. The arse isn't. So generally speaking, if you're more than about 5 inches, you don't fit. Now, this means that basically, where the fuck is he going? We've just seen him holding his fucking dick up by his nipples. This is a guy who could literally swallow his own bell end. Where the fuck is that penis going in that 8-year-old child? How is that even possible? He has porn star dick and he's fucking an 8-year-old. There is not enough room in that child. Again, you see another glimpse of the incredibly fake dick. Then it just goes all out and they start killing everyone. Yeah. All of the guards, the director, everyone ends up dying. And then the most stupid point ever, which again feels like it should be a joke in a really bad comedy. It again, just like the cutting my own dick off joke. Yeah, this feels like it belongs in a scary movie film. He, after catching the last of the bodyguards for the director, takes off the sunglasses he's worn throughout the whole film to find out that the guy is missing an eye. He then literally skullfucks him to death. Out of anger. Now, I don't care what anyone says in this situation. If I'm angry at someone, my immediate reaction would probably be to punch them or hit them with something. I would not think I'm going to kill him by sticking my penis in his eye. The film is just a disjointed mess. It is someone who took a shock horror comedy and a porn film and mixed the two together and then tried to pass it off as serious. And there's people that are actually trying to judge this film as though it's some kind of political commentary on what Serbia is actually like. No! This film, a Serbian film, that's actually the title, it's actually just called a Serbian film. And, I mean, if you are looking for it the way it's spelled, because it's spelt weird, I know it's supposed to be a direct translation, but it's SRPSKI film, like Spursky or whatever. I suppose that would be a phonetic translation of Serbian from the Serbian language, but you can find it called Spursky film and Serbian film, whatever. It doesn't. You don't want to find it. It's not a film. It's just weird. I mean, the thing is, and this is the thing. It's one of those films. It's kind of like The Room. It is the shock horror. It is the Goatsy of films. It is the Two Girls, One Cup of films. Basically, if you take Tommy Wiseau's The Room, for those who haven't seen it, that is fucking stupid. That is the worst film ever made. Not in a it's the most disturbing or it's it lacks artistic merit. It is simply the worst. It has measurably the worst acting, the worst production value of any film ever made in the history of the world. I have never yet seen a film that is made worse. But yeah, it is basically the shock site equivalent of The Room. If you took Two Girls, One Cup and Tommy Wiseau's The Room and merged the two, you would get a Serbian film. It's one of those films where if you're disturbed by purposefully putting forward rape, paedophilia and things like that into films in a desperate attempt to shock you, then this film is going to disgust you in every possible way. If those things come across as desperately quaint, like they do for me, in a oh look they're trying too hard, they put in child rape, oh look at that, they really think they're being edgy. No, you're not. Child rape's not edgy, it's sick, and it shows that you have no artistic merit. You know a few films that have actually done child porn and child rape and things like that well as story-driven elements. I can think of two, 8mm and Hard Candy. Both of those were well shot, well written, well acted masterpieces of cinematography. Both of them took child pornography or child rape and they took it to be a proper story-driven element. In one, it is a story of In fact, in both of them, they are stories of revenge, but you don't know that they're stories of revenge until about halfway through the film. They're weird in that respect. They are psychologically impressive. They make you think and they make you wonder. And fucking, why did the camera do that? Fucking stupid lighting on the camera. I don't know why it does that. Now I'm overexposure much. Okay, now I will point out there's only one small light in this room. Right, but yeah, I don't know what they were attempting in this film. The only thing I can think of is they were attempting to get as many people as possible to say that this film is awful and disgusting and the most depraved thing ever made. Yeah. There's almost like a competition to see who can get the most depraved films ever. There's people who have been mentioning other films out there which are equally depraved and horrible. Something about caterpillars or whatever. I can't remember the names of them. I was looking at a website earlier that had a list of all of the different really shocking, horrible films, and people are claiming this is worse than all of them. Yeah, I've just sat and watched it. It's shit, but it's not that bad. It's just comical, and not in a good way. Not in a, oh, this is funny because it's actually humour. This is funny because yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah, they're really trying. It's one of those kind of, oh, yeah. Eesh. That kind of reaction. Yeah. The kind of funny you get when someone says something incredibly insensitive but doesn't realise it. That kind of funny. Or the kind of funny where, a creationist says something ridiculous and you know that, in the room that they're in, there are 3 biology professors. That kind of, oh god, that's hilarious. It's not going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cringe in a, oh god, that was so pathetic. That is what I'm talking about when I say it's funny. This film is not worth watching. The only reason I watched it is because the Cinema Snob said it was the worst film ever. That there was no redeeming qualities to it. I disagree. I reckon that this film does have redeeming qualities. I reckon that this film has one redeeming quality. It is the kind of film you can sit and watch in order to go, that's not how to make a film. That's just crap. The acting was awful. The pacing was shit. It was filmed very badly. There was one bit that I did like. I did kind of like the whole checkered floor, strange lighting thing that they did for a couple of the porn scenes. That was really atmospheric. That was good. And the scene when he was raping the woman and then cut her head off, that was actually quite suspenseful. There are a couple of decent scenes in it which are taken out of the entire film and put into a narrative where they actually have meaning, could have some relevance, that they could actually hold my interest long enough to be worthwhile. The problem is the film as a whole is a desperate attempt to sit back and make people think, oh my god, you're depraved and horrible people. No, they're just trying too hard. It's a clear, desperate attempt to shock people, and it's rather pathetic. Quite frankly, it's forgettable. It's not worth your time, and if you've got a poor stomach, or if you're easily offended by sexual themes, you're not going to enjoy it. If you want to watch something along the same lines, which is well written, well made, and will actually affect you on an emotional level, watch 8mm. That film is really good. A Serbian film is basically the same thing, only rather than an investigator, it's a porn star that they're actually involving in it, rather than an investigator following on afterwards. It's very similar in the way that they do the storyline, though. The thing is, whereas one is well written and you're supposed to identify with some of the characters and feel sickened by others. This film just comes across as ridiculous. I mean, the director in this film, yeah. I don't mean the film's director, I mean the director character in the film. He is unbelievable. He doesn't come across as real. I mean, the really eccentric director in 8mm who wants to make strange snuff porn, he's believable because he comes across as larger than life. He comes across as being an eccentric who really does think that everything he's doing is art. The guy in a Serbian film, he comes across as a joke. He comes across as a parody, really does. It actually felt like I was watching a parody of 8mm at some points. At no point should anyone ever say the words newborn porn. Wrong. Just wrong. It just doesn't fit. And I've been rambling about it for 25 minutes now, but I had to say something about it because I've just sat through this film. And I don't know what possessed me, because the cinema snob specifically said don't watch it. He said it's not worth it. But I had, out of sheer curiosity, I had to sit and watch it. I had no choice in the matter. I was sitting there going, can't be that bad. You put Twilight at number 9 on this list. How the fuck can this be the worst film? How can this be worse than The Last Airbender? How? I didn't think it was possible. And the thing is, and this is weird the way I'm going to say this. Yeah, it's actually not. There are redeeming qualities to this film if you take little bits out. Right, The Last Airbender was shit from beginning to end. It was absolute cack all the way through. There wasn't a single redeeming feature in that film. It was just really badly made crap. The same as The Room. The Room has no redeeming features whatsoever. The entire thing is crap from beginning to end. The only reason The Room is worth watching is because it's so crap that it comes across like a complete comedy. It actually comes across as a parody of crap films. It almost seems purposeful in the way it was shot. That the really bad acting, it looks as though it was purposely made to be shit. Without the so bad it's good quality, those films are actually crap. Whereas this film does have a few scenes which are well done. The rape scene is actually well shot. It's disturbing. It's horrific. That's what it was supposed to be. Of course, I mean the one with the woman, not his son. That one just seems stupid. Right. The checkered floor bit, the lighting, I love that. That, from an atmosphere point of view, works. But the rest of it just seems so fake. I wouldn't rate it that bad, but I would definitely say that this film is awful. And I would not rate it as any form of art. It is literally nothing more than a shock. And a bad one at that. So someone decided, let's try and make something that the American media will bitch and moan about, because if we can just about try to get it, if we can get it almost banned, it'll sell like hotcakes because everyone will want to see it, just to see why it was almost banned. That's all they did. I mean, for Christ's sake, who the hell would think of putting in a newborn baby rape scene if it wasn't to try and get the film banned? That was the only reason it's there. It's not even physically possible. Not even close. So I'm going to stop there because I've been ranting about this for half an hour now. But I needed to get my thoughts out now while it was still fresh in my head, because I can't sleep otherwise, and it's 3 a.m. Feel sorry for me. I've got to go to sleep now. I'm basically gonna go and watch more stuff on That Guy with the Glasses to try and get that film out of my head, because I don't want to sleep with that imagery in my head. It's disturbing, and not in a disturbing because of the content, disturbing because someone actually made this shit. The content wasn't even disturbing because they made it so poorly that it didn't feel real. It felt shit. If it actually felt real, I would have said that it was disturbing because it felt too real, and the themes were disgusting, and the scenes were nasty and horrible, and I wouldn't suggest watching it because it will make you feel sick. At least then it would have some artistic merit, because at least then it would have been someone making something to try and get an emotional response. It may not have been artistic in a good way. It may have been bad. Yeah, I mean, bad art is still art, but this isn't that. This is just shit. This is this is a toddler's finger painting. It's poorly made, and because of that, it doesn't invoke any emotion other than oh. That's it. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.